Being a youth sports parent is hard. While we all want what's best for our kids, it's easy to lose sight of what that truly is. In this video, veteran coaches and sports parents Jim Huber and Mark Brase share 5 tips to help ensure that your child's youth sports experience is the best it can be. To see the entire webinar, click the link in the description below.
First question we have, parents wear a lot of hats. What are some important roles that parents have in today's sports world?
Well, starting off with this question, here's a role to not be a coach. You're not the coach, right? I mean, and start off, you want to be their biggest supporter cheerleader, right? From the stands. Because I see a lot of parents trying to coach their kids from the stands. And I'm telling you, don't do that. Because basketball, particular sport, can be very confusing for kids. It's up and down, fast paced. Coaches are giving them information, explaining what to do. And it's hard enough doing what the coach wants them to do. And then hearing other voices telling them, and sometimes you might be telling them something totally different than what they're supposed to do, right? And they're wanting to please you, right? So to me, it's like, you got to be there. I always tell individuals, like for me, when I go to games, I sit there, I don't really say anything. I clap for my son, the teammates, whatever, cheer them on. And that's what I do, right? And I don't get any of that coaching. So I would say that's one of the main things that you need to do. And the one thing I'd like to mention too is, like, I think also the last thing I'll kind of finish with me on, Mark, and you can add to it, is like, find balance. Find balance in youth sports. Because you know what I know, there's a lot of different sports out there. They're all playing year round now. There's everybody's marketing all kind of things, right, to get you to spend time with them. And you got to understand, you got a family life. You got school, academics. You also got social activities outside of sports. Sports isn't the all be, right? It's part of a journey. But I feel like we get so much involved in sports that families get, financially, they get in difficult situations, right? Over leveraging themselves there. Their time, they're never spending time together with the family, breaking bread together at dinner, right? Enjoying one another. They're going from one activity to another. And I think that is something that you got to try to find that balance. And you got to be able to say no at times to things that's going to be better for your family long term.
Yeah, and one of the things that really stands out that you mentioned was, listening and being that support system for your child, because and probably again, and I'll probably bring it up later too, because it's such a big important piece of the picture. But as a parent, you're riding home with your child after a game or a practice, and you really want to be involved. And sometimes you have to step back and kind of gauge how they're feeling, how they're doing. I think if you talk to parents over the years, some of the biggest fights and arguments and problems that have been drudged up have been after a game, and a game that didn't go well. And maybe the parent bites their tongue for the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes and ride home, but they want to bring it up and they want to talk about it, and not being negative, but they just want to kind of rehash some things or try to help their child. And those aren't great times to talk. It's probably the worst times to talk. Give your child that space. If they want to talk, it's different. If they're bringing things up, they're talking, completely different. But when you're the one initiating some of those conversations about, hey, why did this happen? Why'd you do this? Or you should have done that. It never ends well. I mean, in all my experiences and having made mistakes and seeing parents make those mistakes, even after practices, sometimes kids come home from a practice and, I get it. Parents are involved and they want to know, how did practice go and what'd you do and da-da-da. And sometimes it depends on the kid. Sometimes they want to talk and sometimes they don't. They want to do something else and maybe they'll bring up something later, but sometimes it's just giving them space and knowing when to listen. What are some strategies to help kids handle that fear of failure that they all have? And like I said, we have it as adults as well. So any strategies that you'd recommend for trying to work through some of that so they can have success?
Yeah, the first thing is reframe the word failure. Making a mistake in basketball is not failure. Missing a shot is not failure. Losing a game is not failure. Well, they say failure is when you stop. I mean, you stop going after what it is you want to do. That's failure. So I always like, even the kids I have, I tell them we win and learn. We win and learn. We don't lose. We learn. We're growing through this. I tell my kids all the time, like my young kids, I go, hey, I'll be like, hey, I'll be like, okay, we're going to the game. Like, all right, you're going to go give your best. Yeah, yeah, give your best effort. You're going to go have a what? A good attitude. Yeah, yeah. You're going to be coachable, coachable. Be a great teammate. Have great sportsmanship and have fun, man. Right? I never talk to them about making so many shots, doing this and that. Just go give your best. It's like John Wood talked about the definition of success, really defined down to just, are you giving your best? So I think we have to communicate that to our kids and understand you can give stories about life. I mean, think about, we can go to the light bulb invented. They talk about like how many times, like, almost like it depends who you're looking at, but it's like 9,999 or 999 times, whatever, that it was trying to be invented. So if he would have quit, he would have never invented it, right? I mean, so we can go on about that. So I think you got to communicate that. And also, you got to focus on the process. Nick Saban in Alabama retired, one of the greatest coaches, right? What he also talk about the process. We just get 1% better today. We're working on just getting a little bit better, a little bit better. We're going to grow through this, right? And it's through time that great things can happen. And there's no teams, there's nobody that's perfect. What does it say, Jordan? How many game-winning shots did he miss? He said, or whatever. I don't know the statistic number what he said, but he took them, right? And he continued to take them. So I think that's like the process over time, not focusing on today, just today, be so narrow focused.
I think celebrating the effort, I think as a parent, if you can really just focus on that piece more than anything, and part of it is that's something I think kids feel they can control more, and they can. I mean, you can always control that effort piece a whole lot easier than you can the outcome. So praising the effort, um, and just kind of focusing a little bit more on that in general, I think is always a positive. And as far as, again, circling back to that car ride home piece, which, like you said, it is probably one of the biggest areas that parents make mistakes in. I have a lot of parents out there that, and we used to talk to our parents in meetings, and we kind of guide them with, do not talk to them. Set a rule and don't make it just arbitrary, or don't just not tell them, because they may wonder why you're not talking to them. Maybe just, before the season, if it is a problem, it is. Say, hey, you know what? How about after the game, we just maybe don't talk about the game for a while. Again, unless the kid wants to bring you up and talk about it. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the next day that if they want to talk or whatnot. But if you can make that a rule, which is tough as a parent, and it will be really tough to stick to, because I've tried doing it myself as a parent and stick to it, and then every once in a while I catch myself even breaking it. But if you can stick to things like that, that just make life a little bit more pleasant, and when you have conversations, when you're both, like you said, in more of a positive mood, things will go a lot better.